All right, all right. Yes, yes, yes. We are finally back for another live open court discussion in the Counselor's Corner. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co-host, Herb Lewis, aka the Big Bad Wolf.
Ooh.
We also have Willie A. Price Speaks the Truth.
That's it.
And she's not on here yet, but she'll be joining us, the angelic Christine Brooks. This past Monday, we opened up with the topic, who is responsible for what when it comes to educating our children? But tonight, we will lead off with the topic, do women stop other women from um, seeking happiness in relationships? Wow. Not women stopping other women, not the sisterhood bond. That can't be. That can't be. But we're going to find out if that's the case. Also, we have two other essential talking points we're going to cover. First one, fit, cooperative, submissive, all the things a man wants, but not from another man. Why should men be afraid? Man, it's getting treacherous out here, man. It's getting treacherous. You got to be on your P's and Q's, man.
Man.
Second one, if a man says he's not ready for children and his partner gets pregnant, who's at fault?
Oh, I can't wait to get to that one. I can't wait to get to that one.
Stay tuned for another action-packed conversation. Please like and share our video, and please subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. So we here. Christine was just here. I don't know if she popped back out, but
get in here, Christine. We need you for this one.
All right, Doug Ruffin, thanks for checking in, my good brother.
All right.
All
What's
right.
up, Douglas?
Hey, Christine, the angelic Christine Brooks.
There she
Thanks
is.
for joining us.
She's my queen.
How's
So
everybody tonight?
Wonderful.
Good.
How are you?
I'm good. What are you doing?
So we gonna dive right in, and we'll talk throughout whatever, catch everybody up if it's anything going on new in our world. For me, it's the same old in the schoolhouse. These kids, they crazy as hell up in school. They done lost a year and a half of social skills, so you got to reteach all of that again. So it's going to be an interesting year, and it's only week 4. Only week 4. Anything new with y'all?
No, man, just settling in. Football's moving into college and pro football moving into the strides. Baseball is postseason getting ready to shape up. U.S. Open, tennis, every day is every day. I'm just trying to keep up with everything now that, I didn't even go to my sign language class today. I was just like, you know what? I need to sleep. But, everything's everything. I almost get hit by a car this week, so I'm good.
All
right. Well, I just got federal approval for a nonprofit organization I just started, and I've been waiting for that. Thank you. So I've been excited and waiting for that because a lot of my programs were sponsored by organizations. And with this pandemic and everything going on, a lot of organizations lost funding or not trying to put funding into contact programs. And so as a result of that, I decided to start my own nonprofit organization and fund my own programs through nonprofit donations and through grants. So we just got approved federal government 2 weeks ago. So now we can take donations, tax deductible donations, and we're applying for some grants. So I'm excited about that.
That's cool. It was what makes me when you said that about a month ago or 2 months ago, and I know you've seen him at the North Avenue reunion. My man Modi Cox was telling me that,
that's my man.
I need to get into that, whatever. So
that's
good stuff. So we definitely need to connect on another level as far as that stuff.
Exactly.
Christine, anything good with you?
Everything is good with me. Everything is good with me. Nothing new and exciting to report, but everything's good with me.
All right.
Wonderful.
So we gonna jump right in, and we gonna start off with: do women stop other women from seeking happiness in relationships? Herb, talk to me about that being one of your hot item talking points, or whatever.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't catch that one. I'm sorry.
I was listening to the good brother Kevin Samuels, man, and you know what? Sitting there listening throughout the entire show, I had to ask a question. I said, we often hear that women borrow other women's horror stories from dating, marriage, or any other type of relationship. And the first time that a woman comes up to her female friends, she approaches them with good news or about her finding a quality man or about her being proposed to, and she's so excited. What do a lot of her single friends say? Girl, he just like the rest. They ain't nothing but dogs. He ain't no good. Just wait till you get married. You hear all the bad things. Never anything good, as if there isn't anything good. And I can't figure out why. And listening to the show, women after women was just coming in and they were chiming in about this situation, this situation. Then when I sat down and actually looked at some things, looked at the marriage rate, and then looked at the divorce rate, I'm thinking, who are these women getting these stories from if they themselves have never been married? And I'm beginning to realize what they're doing is they're taking other women's horror stories from being married. And I'm not saying that there isn't. I'm not saying every guy is worth being married to. I'm just saying not all guys are evil the way they're being portrayed. That these women are actually using other women's stories to try and keep other women from being married or being involved in a relationship that could lead to marriage. It's the old adage, misery loves company. We know that a lot of women, regardless of their ethnicity, are miserable in their relationships. So I can't figure out why women want to see other women not married or not in a healthy, functional relationship. It's just baffling me. So when I heard it, I was like, you know what? Let me bring this to the counselor's corner and let's just see what people say.
Interesting.
I want to hear Christine's thoughts on this.
Surely it happens. I mean, yeah, it happens. I haven't really been privy to that. But I've spoken with people that have experienced that when they get in a relationship and they're happy, they were disappointed at their friends' reactions. Mm-hmm. So you just wanted my thoughts on it, or?
Well, more so, why? Because men don't do that. Like if David or Willie do,
they do.
Yeah, they do.
I've never been around men that do it.
They do.
Yeah, they do.
They do stuff like I heard my boy hit that.
They do. They do.
Come on, they do it.
I see. My crew don't do that. My crew don't do that. The people that I hang around with, if I'm telling them I'm dating somebody or I'm dating or whatever the case is, they say, "Cool, man. Hope it works out for you." I have never had anybody tell me don't date somebody unless they knew that female was no good. That's a different story.
I know, always got a story. I got a story for y'all.
We love your story, Willie. We love your story.
Now that's a different story. I will grant that. If a man knows that a female is shady, he will tell her, "Yo, man, just be careful." I will say that. Absolutely. But finalize the men that I know and associate with, we don't try and tell another man don't date. There's nothing at the end of the rainbow, et cetera, et cetera. Even if that man does get married, he will say to the other man, "Hey, just be aware of the pitfalls that can happen. Not don't, but just be aware." At least from my experiences, I'm not here to question anybody else's experiences.
Like you heard, that's not a part of the circles that I'm in. The women in my lifetime that I've surrounded myself with, it's never been a thing where oh, I'm dating somebody, and you're all excited, and the women around us were like, what you want to date him for? Girl, men ain't no good. They all this, they all that. I don't experience that. I haven't
Okay.
experienced that. I have heard, though, I do know of women that have come to me and been like, I was all excited about such and such, and somebody just took the wind out of my sails. And they were hurt. They weren't, it didn't discourage them from the man, but they were hurt that their friends weren't celebrating with them.
Disappointing.
Or happy for them. Yeah, it's disappointing, especially when you consider that person your friend. And so what's my opinion on it? My opinion is more than my opinion is it probably comes from one or two places. One, jealousy, because they're not experiencing that, or they're still feeling the pain of going through something, and they're just they're just in a negative space.
Now let me add to it when he said guys don't do it. I think when you get older as a guy, you still have your boys, but it might shrink down like far as the ones that you share stuff with. Like before, when you were younger, you might have a solid 6-7 guys, whatever, that was your crew.
Yeah.
And during that time, you couldn't be really interested in a girl like that. Like if you disappeared for a day or two and you was chilling with your girl, they was gonna have something negative to say instead of saying, man, he happy. That's cool, whatever. He ain't with us, whatever, but he's all right, whatever. He's safe, he's straight. Nah, it didn't go down like that. It didn't go down like that. It's almost like we were indoctrined to like, okay, if I like this chick, let me see. Do I show her how much I like her, or do I still got to prove my manhood to my boys that I haven't went soft? And then you kind of, your behavior start acting funny towards that woman, and then next thing you know, your ass back with them again, and she's off on the sunset somewhere because you let them steal your joy. And all too often that happens at a younger age when it's somebody you probably could say that was gonna be my wife. That could have been my wife right there. But your little hard leg buddies
let them deter you.
Throw salt, and that's what happens. So that's just my little tidbit.
It's funny you say that because Don Cheadle has a show coming out, or let me not say he has a show coming out. There's a show coming out called The Wonder Years, and if it sounds familiar,
a remake,
it's the same title, yes, based on a black perspective. I don't have Hulu, but it seems like it's going to be kind of funny. So, there's a plug for that show. Y'all might want to check it out. Those of you who have a curious nature, it seems like it's going to be kind of cool. And I know Don Cheadle, anything he's associated with is rarely, if ever, been bad. So there's a plug. Check that out on Hulu. Let me know what it's like. Cause
Wonder Years, as far as Fred Savage, that show.
No, it's a brand new show.
It's a black version.
No, but I'm saying it's from that show.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I believe so. I've seen the previews for that as well.
Yeah, I was at work. I was like, yo, that's kind of crazy. Because I'm looking at it, I'm just like, and it just reminds me so much of my childhood growing up, and you would sit there, you would play those games. And it's just like, this is actually just coming to fruition. So I just found it kind of funny. I was like, I don't do the whole Hulu thing. I don't really stream. Facebook is pretty much all I do in terms of outside media exposure. Like I said, I don't have any TV, so DVDs and whatever adverts are on those. But that sounds like it's going to be pretty good. And it kind of reminds me of just what David said, And I know myself, I've had an older brother get married. I had my man that I'm associated with in the program get married. And then one of my good childhood friends get married. I've never said a word to them about not getting married. And we're all in excess of 42, 43 years old. So, like I said, the cats that I run with, I never try and discourage them because I realize at a particular point in life, many men that I know want to have something that they can call their own. And as much as your own can be used for another human, when you're married, you both claim each other. You know, it's like the song "Teenage Love" by Slick Rick. Yeah, that's my woman, and yeah, that's my man. So that's just my perspective and my viewpoint on it. But you know, everybody has their own experiences. Everybody has their own way of looking at things. So I'll step aside and let the other gentleman speak.
Willie, man, we waiting for those stories. We waiting for those stories.
Well, first of all, I want to start out with, I was going to say Herb that stole my fire for a second because he said misery loves company. And that was the first thing that came to mind when I heard this topic, because that's what you find is that you have a lot of miserable people out there that will, if they see that you're happy, they're not trying to be around a happy person, especially if they've been through a bad relationship or they've been single for a long period of time or dealing with different guys in and out or different females in and out. A lot, especially females, if they're miserable, they want everybody else to be miserable. They want everybody else to hate men and dog men and talk about men and things like that. I grew up with sisters, and I used to sit around and listen to my sisters talk about, you know, things, and their girlfriends talk about things. But one of the things I also notice is that man and female, you cannot share the good things about your relationship, especially sexually, with your friends, especially with the fellas, especially like you said, younger fellas. When you're hanging out with your crew, if you sharing those things, you can bet somebody already get the plan to go after your girl. Whether y'all together or when y'all, as soon as y'all break up, they're gonna give it a little time. Especially these days, they're gonna be sending out a little inbox and, you know, that kind of thing. So you really have to be careful the things you share in your and with your friends and in relationships. So those were the first two things that came to my mind was misery loves company, and that probably the person is jealous if they start to really dog your relationship or talk about the guy or, you know, say things about the female or whatever. So it can go both ways with that. You shouldn't share, especially your intimate involvement with your friends, because that just opens the door to somebody wanting to try him out to see if he's as good as you said or she's as good as you said. Now, time for the story. Herb, when you said guys don't do that, if this would have been last year, I'd have probably agreed with you. But I just went through something not too long ago, less than a year ago, where this guy, like I said, you keep your circle smaller as you get older. So you only have certain people that you really hang out with, you really tight with, you may share situations with and things like that. And I had a person like that in my life where down for, this is my man. Everything we did together. We hung out, and I had met this young lady on the internet, and we were talking and socializing and really getting to know each other. Like, you guys know I like to communicate. So I'm communicating with her, and, you know, we're getting to know each other and just, you know, start video chatting and this kind of thing. So the one day I happened to go over to his house while she and I were communicating. So she's sending me text messages. I'm laughing, talking. And so he was like, you know, who you laughing and talking with? I said, well, I met this young lady online. I, you know, telling about, you know, how we've been hitting it off, really cool young lady and everything. He said, well, what's her name? And I told her name. You know, I'm all excited. Told her name. Yo, man, she's fine. I'm going into it. Oh, I know her.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I know her. And he starts to tell me how he knows her, where he knows her from, this, that, and the other. Oh, okay, cool. You know, I ain't no big deal. Well, I just want to let you know, you don't want to put your mouth where I've been.
Wow.
What?
Wow.
You don't want to put your mouth where I've been. So I'm like, okay. So I kind of, you know, left it alone. Wow. So we were doing some things out in his yard, you know, talking and everything. He comes back to that again. Yo, I'm just letting you know, man. I just want to let you know, you don't want to put your mouth where I've been. So he just kept hinting at that and going through it. So finally I got to the point where I was like, you know what, I got to go. I'm going to go home. So I'm driving home back to Niagara Falls, and he calling me. Well, I just want to let you know, man, you don't want to put your mouth where I've been. And then he starts sending me pictures. And the pictures he was sending me was of a woman's lower parts.
Dang.
And I'm looking at these pictures while I'm driving, and finally I call him. I say, yo, what's up with these pictures? He said, I'm just letting you know you don't want to put your mouth where I've been. And I'm like, damn, like, man, I had all these hopes for this young lady. We really hit it off and everything. So now by the time, it's like a 20-mile drive to Niagara Falls. By the time I get home, I don't want nothing to do with this woman. I'm like, you can mess with my boy, da-da-da-da. I get home, she calls me. So now I said, yo, I didn't know you knew my boy and y'all was messing around, da-da-da. She said, I know him, but I've never messed with him. We've never done anything. He was trying to get with me, but I wasn't with it. I said, well, he told me, that y'all was doing some things and, be careful and all these kind of things. So she's like, no, none of that ever happened. So I call him the next day. And I said to him, yo, I just talked to the young lady. She said, none of that ever happened. He said, oh, man, I was just playing. I thought you knew I was playing. I was just joking. I was just joking. I was just playing. I thought you really believed me when I said that? I thought you knew I was playing.
Wow. And
I'm like, you send me pictures of a vagina and telling me I don't want to put my mouth where you been and all these kind of things, but you was just playing and you never done nothing with this person.
That's crazy.
I was just playing. So
hold on, Willie. Who has all that? It's a lot of feedback.
That feedback, yeah, I hear it.
I hope it ain't me.
It's something moving. It sounds like something is moving up against the mic.
Yeah, somebody got a fan?
Nope, not me.
Not me.
Is somebody else on the show that ain't supposed to be here? It's not me, because I ain't not on. I'm not even.
I don't think I have anything else open.
I hear it, but I don't know where it's coming from. Long story short, she says to me, she calls me later on that day, and she says, you know that guy that you mentioned to me? I said, yes. She said, he called me last night after I talked to you and started trying to get with me, asking me, do I want to get together and do some things and spend some time and all this kind of stuff. And she said, aren't you friends with this guy? And he went into telling her, oh, I didn't know you want to mess with those kind of guys. He's this kind of guy and he's that kind of guy. And I'm like, really? So not only did he try to deter me from talking to her, he turned around and tried to deter her from talking to me by kicking salt on me. And I was just like, so when Herb said that, I was like, no, guys do the same thing. But that was an extreme one. And that just happened not too long ago.
That's wild.
So needless to say, me and that guy, we don't associate anymore. And this guy was like a brother to me. Very disappointing. That's very crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy that he took it to that level.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to put your mouth where I've been sending me pictures. And I'm like, oh shoot, he don't really been into this. He got pictures and everything. Come to find out, he's sending me pictures of something he had on his phone.
Just some random vagina.
Random pictures. Right. Some random pictures. Just to deter me from talking to her, that he sneaks and calls her after he sends me all this stuff so he can try to get with it.
Now, I've experienced something similar to that, and I won't get into a longer-winded story such as Willie, but there are some cats out there who will sabotage your relationship, man. So there's some grimy fellas out there, yeah. I will definitely say that much. But that's different. Like I always say, fellas, keep your business your business. All right. If you do something with a woman, she's trusting you that you're gonna have the decency to keep your goddamn mouth closed. Do it. I'm just gonna tell you, do it. You don't make, in this day and age, you do not make yourself look good by doing that. The day and age where notches on your bedpost equals a man that women are sought after, them days are done. They're done because social media has the propensity and the ability to ruin not only friendships and relationships, but to tarnish someone's image and their integrity long before you even get a chance to meet them. Revenge porn is now a crime. So people doing that, you could be arrested, sued monetarily, and you can go to jail. So if you think it's worth risking, keep doing the nonsense that you're doing. I'm here to tell you, whatever I do with a woman, that's between her and myself. I make that clear from the moment that we first meet. I don't care what happens, whether we blow up the situation or the situation ends badly or the situation ends amicably. That's our business. That's a contract that can't be broken. I don't give a damn who it is. I don't give a what the situation is. That's just how I get down.
Yeah. And the thing is, like I said, especially when you get older. So that situation, that story you just told, Willie, for a grown ass man to take it that far.
Yeah, that's embarrassing on his
That's
part.
crazy.
I think when he kept asking the name and all of that stuff, if you didn't give it to him to begin with, then somebody who really has, positive energy on their mind probably said, "Oh, if it's meant to be, he'll tell me whatever." But to go on and keep asking and probing, and then you left, and he was still calling. Yeah, he was up to no good.
I told him the name. I told him the name as soon as he asked me. He said, "Who is it? What's her name?" And I said, "Because I was saying, she used to be from Buffalo, but she don't live in Buffalo no more." And I just gave her name, And when I said it, he I know her. But what it was he met her and knew how cute she was, and nice person. And he was trying to get with her before, and she wouldn't give him any time. So now his thing was, I'm gonna block you from getting it and see if I can get back with it again.
That's grimy.
I mean,
that's funny,
man.
That's grimy.
grimy.
And it sounds like it almost worked.
If she would have went for it, but when he called her,
no,
like,
you said that by the time you got home, you were
like, I was done.
You were done.
I was
so
done.
It almost worked.
Yeah, by the time, he called me like 5 times while I was driving, and then started sending me pictures. I'm telling you, man, you don't want to put your mouth where I've been, man. I'm just telling you. I'm trying to warn you. By the time I got home, I was so distraught. I'm like, no, this girl, I can't fool with her. I can't be messing with her.
That is so crazy.
And then to say, oh, I was just playing. I thought you knew I was playing. No, we ain't never did nothing. Dude.
So you said, from this day forward, you don't mess with him like that.
I haven't said 2 words since that day.
So he haven't tried to reach out.
Oh no, not an apology, I was just playing, and me and this guy have been friends over 20 years, man.
Yeah, see, that's dirty.
That's dirty. 30 years.
That's dirty.
Yeah, I guess he was someone who was sitting around sleeping on his hands. And he didn't like the fact that you was about to make some moves.
Exactly.
Sound like to me.
Who right out there? Big shot.
Noise is killing me.
I know. I don't know where it's coming from.
I don't know where it's coming from either.
Who got a window open or something?
I got a fan going.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
That's what it is.
Y'all? Is that it?
Girl, we gonna spank you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Yep.
her earlier, he said somebody got a fan on it. Him said it too. He said somebody got a fan on it, and
because I got a little fan, but I'm like, okay, I always have my fan on, and it don't make no noise like that.
No, that's probably a box fan.
The wind is blowing. The air is blowing up against her microphone.
Yeah,
the air blowing on your mic. You got to put it in front of you, Christina. Put it in front of you, blowing towards you.
Yeah.
I don't think the cord will reach like that.
Yeah, because when the air is blowing, it's blowing into the microphone.
Right.
That's okay. I guess I'll suffer through.
Sorry. Sound and lighting is very important.
Yes,
you know what you can do is you can tilt it up in the air. If you can pop something underneath it and tilt it up into the air.
Oh, well, it's got a direction on it. Tell me, how about now?
Yeah, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah. Hey. You had it blowing straight at you?
Well, it's kind of blowing diagonal, so it's blowing like
on the side.
Okay. Yeah.
It was blowing into the mic before.
Yeah.
Yep. You're good now. Yep.
Sorry, guys.
All right.
So but there's some.
We got that problem solved because
there's definitely some grimy men out there. I would definitely say that, and for as much as we asked this question about women, we can't really exclude men that do that because there's some men that they're vultures.
Exactly.
Period. They're vultures, and they'll sit around and they'll pick and they'll try and dissolve what's there so they can slide in and say, "Man, well, she didn't treat me like that." Well, no, she didn't treat you like that. Because he didn't treat anybody like that. And you know what? The really sad thing about it is the girls who generally suffer when men do that are the wholesome girls because nobody's ever had them like that. So the men are making up these stories so they can dissuade other men from getting to them so they can be trying to be quote unquote the first.
Isolate them to themselves.
Yeah. And I'm just like, you know what, man?
Yeah.
So I always look at cats that do that with a side eye and just like you, Willie, you got to cut them off. Like you would just
he definitely was cut off.
Yeah,
definitely was cut off.
Gotta cut them off. Because I've never encountered women doing that. I have encountered women. Well, let me not say that.
Yeah, because women have a different way of doing it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I've encountered women. I've encountered women talking about the man and what he does, and then another woman coming behind him and saying, "Well, I heard you such and such do this." It's like, yo, well, how you know? And then next thing you know, she
thinking like that. I was thinking.
Well, no. Yeah.
What you thinking, Christina?
Well, two things. One, like you all said, if you're discussing what goes on in your personal life, especially intimately, the idea that they'll try to make a move,
right?
See if it's true. See what the man's about.
Validate it.
That's one. And then the other one is if it's somebody that they've been with before and they don't want another woman getting with them, that and that has come up that this person is talking to them, then it's to say, well, he's really small.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
That's like a front line of attack for a lot of women. I've noticed.
Yeah.
They'll go at a man's size.
Right.
And as a matter of fact, that's why I posted. If I don't know if anybody you saw it, Christine, I posted the other day. Ladies, does size really matter?
Oh yes, I saw that. Yes.
Because there was a young lady that was talking about something with a guy, and the first thing she went after was, well, he probably small anyways. And that just made me think about it. And I said, well, let me post this up and see what women have to say about this.
And I've heard that. You'll hear somebody, okay, you was with this man for 12 years, and now you're saying he was
little. Yeah, exactly.
Right. But it's like, so for 12 years, you was cool with it.
Exactly. So he doing something right.
Right.
Yeah, and in cases like that, I don't know if men come back and like, oh, that shit was dry or whatever the case is or whatever.
I couldn't feel the walls.
Yeah, I think you just let it go, whatever. But women, that's
I don't know if they necessarily. Well, a lot of times they do hear it because a lot of times it's directly toward them in arguments or back and forth. But in cases where it's to deter another woman, he probably never knows it's said.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
I don't know. And when you think about it, and you think about some of the stuff that's still being said at our age, and I'm like, man, we childish as hell.
Exactly.
Like childish as hell, man. Like, how can we teach the young people when we ain't no better than them? We
Exactly.
ain't no better.
When our behavior is no better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Somebody said that's another one to say that he can't even last. He's a minute man. You know? And you got
any way to deter you.
You got like 5 babies by him. Okay.
Yep. Thank you.
Yeah, Dr. Dunbar hit the head on the nail when he said dirty macking. That's exactly what it is, dirty macking.
It was good to go. 5 babies.
Yeah.
Yeah,
people, so, you know,
please hit the like
I think the point there is that both sexes are guilty of it.
Yeah,
you know,
and that's what I said.
It doesn't matter. Coming from a man, coming from a woman, it's tacky, and it says more about you than it does about them if you're one of these people that do stuff like that.
Here's a comment that Greg made. Let me run this by everybody.
I just saw that too. Yeah.
He says, I think a woman that has had a bad experience with a man does other women a favor by warning her about the bad experience. Let's take that for a moment. Well, let's take that for a moment and let's examine that. If the bad experience is something that he created, meaning that, let's say, he was messing around with several other women and gave her STI or STD, is that something that would be fair for a woman to tell other women about?
It depends.
It depends. Yeah, it depends.
If you passing around incurable diseases, God, yes.
Yeah, if you have,
yes.
But something like it depends on what she's telling them. If it's something like that, then I could see a woman telling, well, you really need to be careful because I was with him and this is what happened. But if you just had a bad experience,
then it might have been that the two of you all just
exactly, and that was my thought. It was a bad experience between y'all, but that might be a totally different experience with that person, that new person.
If the man is abusive, again,
that needs to be told.
That should be told. And I had this was funny. This was a man that, but I appreciated it. There was nothing there anyway, but it was. I was like, absolutely, you should say something. A male friend of mine saw some interaction between me and somebody he knew online. And he called me and said, I'm hesitant to tell you this. He said, because I don't know if you're talking to this dude or not. He said, but let me just put it like this. I know him. I know a lot of people that know him. And the general consensus is that he's crazy.
Oh.
No, see there.
Like,
wow.
Absolutely, you should tell me.
But what do you mean by crazy? People say stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what I was
going
to say.
Stuff like that.
The term is crazy.
People said he crazy. But what's crazy? What do you mean by crazy? What was it something that person did that made them act that way? Or was that something that the person came into the relationship with?
and they said they were like, and they said they were, hesitant to tell me. He's really a good dude. He's a hardworking man, and he'll definitely take care of a woman he cares about. But if you want somebody clocking how long it takes you to get from work home, popping up on your job,
well, that's a stalker. That's not crazy.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what he was warning me about, and he said he knows somebody that he did it to that won't even live in the same state with him.
Damn.
So,
yeah, that's a stalker. That's not a crazy person. That's a stalker. Well, that's a stalker, a possessive person that you need to be careful about because they will normally get violent
Yeah.
So that kind of person you do need to be careful about.
Yeah. So I think in that, and somebody, Greg Harper said, what about if he's a druggie? I think, yeah, if you know that about a person, you should share it.
Yeah.
You should share it.
Those kind of things. That's why I said it depends on what the situation is. But if y'all just didn't work out, you don't go bad mouth them because it didn't work out with y'all. Now, Lisa said something I wanted to say. She talked about where was it? Oh, it's best to move on and mind your own business. Now, I don't understand when she said it's best to move on and mind your own business, depending on what the situation is. Because if you know your girlfriend or a person you are an acquaintance with is getting into a relationship with somebody who's crazy, like you said, or bad, a stalker and could end up hurting you, or, has violent tendencies, you don't just, well, it ain't my business, I'm going to leave it on, leave it alone and move on. No. Because you have the opportunity to let that person know so you don't allow them to get into a situation where they can get hurt and badly hurt. Even if you don't want to tell them yourself, even if you leave them a note on the car or, something to bring some awareness to a situation, but you don't just leave a person, well, it ain't none of my business, and let them fend for themselves.
I think that's part of what she's asking when who is meeting who to reveal all this information for. Is it somebody in your circle, in your tight-knit circle, or is it just some random person approaching you saying, I heard you talking to such and such, this is what you need to be aware of, because you don't know who is trying to sabotage your relationship or who is actually giving you credible information. So in the absence of being able to sit down with this person and ask, well, what is your relationship with them, and have you ever been involved with them? And this is where you get into secondhand information. Well, no, I heard from another friend about him.
Well, that's why you ask questions. Of course, then you ask questions to find out where this information is coming from. But she also asked, now folks don't listen and ignore the signs. But
you've done your part. If you've given them the warning,
but at least you've made them aware. At least you've made them aware, whether they don't listen or not. You can't say that they didn't know and that you didn't try to let them know what was going on to avoid them from being hurt or, dead, whatever the case may be. Yes. But you at least let them know.
So if you've done your part, if you warn somebody about something, about somebody that makes them potentially dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally dangerous.
And you don't even have to know that person well. If you know that person's dating someone and your friend, your friend is friends with that person, she's, oh yeah, she's dating Johnny that you used to date, and you'd be like, okay, wait a minute, we need to talk to her and let her know how Johnny is.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So you may not even know that person, but the thing is, you don't want to put somebody else in harm's way just because it's none of your business. You're not with the person no more. It's none of my business. No, that's not right.
Some people subscribe to that. If it doesn't affect me or somebody I know, step aside and let things go. It's really always difficult to know when to insert yourself into somebody else's affairs, because like Lisa said, some people don't listen.
But they do not listen. That don't mean you don't tell them.
Yeah.
She ain't gonna listen, so I ain't gonna say nothing. No, you say something, and then
if you don't know them anyway, I mean, if they don't believe you, or if they don't like you because you try to pass on the information, it's nothing lost to you.
Thank you.
Well, it's not.
At least you've given them the information. Yeah.
Well, let me put it to you like this. Let's say there's somebody that you've had a falling out with. Case in point, well, let's take the situation that you had with the fella, and let's say it's a different female, and he come back and tell you, yo, man, this chick got herpes. Are you gonna believe him?
Well, I would ask him, how did he know?
He's not gonna divulge that information. He's just gonna tell you.
For you to just come, and then I would go talk to her about it.
Okay, that's all I'm saying. And some people are hesitant to do that.
At least I would have some information knowing that I need to be careful with this person.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? And that's all you want to do, is you want to at least say, yo, at least I got stories. That actually happened. That actually happened where I was dating a girl in Niagara Falls. This was years ago, though. I was dating a girl in Niagara Falls, and her best friend had herpes. And a guy I knew from Buffalo came up and started. I guess they had met, and then he came up to spend time with her. And I was out with my girl, and her girlfriend came out, and he came up to see her. And I took him to the side, and I was like, yo, man, I said, I don't know if you know, but you need to be careful because this young lady has a disease that you can't get rid of. And you just need to be careful with that and have a conversation with her, let it, and figure out how y'all want to go with it. Now, like Lisa said, no, I don't believe that. I don't believe that. All I'm doing is letting you know because I know who you are and I know who she is, and I'm just trying to look out for you. But I just wanted to make you aware of it. And he didn't believe me. He didn't believe me. He was upset that I told him, but I felt better. No, I was doing that. We all sitting here at a bar laughing and talking, and she talking. They talking about getting together and leaving and going somewhere. And I'm like, dude, you need to be a little careful going off with her to her crib, because I knew that this young lady had a disease she couldn't get rid of. She had herpes.
So it's safe to say that we don't know the person who has this will share that with anyone.
Oh, they're not here now. They're not in Niagara Falls anymore.
No, I'm just wondering, like, will somebody be open up and say, yeah, back, this happened to me years ago. I want to warn you that I do have a venereal disease before we even try to take it further. Will people share that information with other folks?
Some people will not tell you if they have or had a disease, and it's because I used to do my boys program. We did a conference where we did a boys conference, and the guy came in from the sexually transmitted disease off. I forgot what department he worked in, but he talked about that. And what he said was that some people will tell you, but then you have some people who are angry that someone gave them that disease and didn't tell them. So now, because of that anger, they said, well, they didn't tell me, so I'm not telling anybody.
Right.
And so they'll just pass it on and give it to somebody else because they're angry that they have to live that life in that situation because somebody didn't warn them. And that person didn't warn her and give them the opportunity to say, well, no, or yes, I don't want to do this. I met a young lady myself who had a disease she couldn't get rid of. And she told me about it. And we're still good friends to this day.
I can vouch for that. I've had that happen as well.
She was willing to tell me, let me know that, I like you. And because I like you, I'm going to let you know this is what's going on with me. And I was a little, I was nervous. I was like, well, I can still hold your hand or something, right? But, it was because you don't know. It was a scary situation. But like I said, to this day, we're still friends. But, I thank God that she had enough, consideration. She wasn't one of those angry people that would say, well, shoot, I like him. He like me. I ain't going to tell him. I'm just going to go on and be with him and then let the chips fall.
Yeah.
And she could have done that. If she would have been an angry person about what happened to her, she could have done that. And people are angry. And that's what the guy talked about in the program. He was like, you have people who are angry because someone gave them something they couldn't get rid of, or, and now they're suffering. And because of that anger, they don't tell other people, well, they didn't tell me, so I'm not going to tell nobody. And they just pass it on. And that's how you have these situations being spread throughout communities and neighborhoods.
All right. Yeah. All right. Herb, you got a closing point because we've been.
Yeah, I was gonna say in California they're making that punishable by sending people to prison. So just be aware. I think that's gonna start to spread to some other states. So you just be careful if you're out there doing that nonsense. Criminal charges can file.
Also there's certain diseases they can't disclose that a person has.
No, I'm talking about the state is making it a criminal offense. So if an individual has tested negative for a certain disease, and after they get with this individual, and this individual has already been tested positive, that individual that had already tested positive will go to jail because it's already documented that they have the disease.
That's been going on for years. Well, New York State, because if you think about the guy that was doing it in Buffalo, it was a guy that was doing that in Buffalo. He was going around sleeping with all these young girls.
Yes.
In Buffalo. I think he's in Attica.
Yes.
He's in Attica. He was going around sleeping with these young girls. Somebody gave it to him, and he got mad, and he decided he's going to give it to everybody he could.
Yeah.
And that's what he did. He went around sleeping with young girls because he knew older women wasn't going to, be as quick to jump into bed with him. And he was a nice-looking guy, but he was getting all these young girls and giving them the disease he had.
That happened in St. Louis in the 80s. There was a big deal. And, the guy met with street justice, needless to say.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
But,
yeah, that's one way.
But he had
one way.
He had HIV back when that was definitely a death sentence. And he was angry.
Mm-hmm.
And he would basically wine and dine women. He would woo them to get them to sleep with him. But there were so many women that ended up with it because of him. And the funny thing was, this guy actually tried to take me out on a date. And it was my best friend my best friend at the time that introduced him to me. She didn't know.
Oh, okay.
I think it was the guy she was dating knew. But I had roses in my mailbox. He wanted to take me out in a limousine, all this crap. But thank God I was like madly in love with my kid's father. I wasn't the least bit impressed by any of that stuff.
If a guy doing all that, that's suspect to me anyway. I mean,
number one, I wasn't. Well, I don't know. I was in my 20s, so I guess I was young. I just never felt young, but it didn't impress me.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't.
But it does for a lot of women, though. A lot of women are used to it, and it does for a lot of women. Yeah,
it did, and it worked. I mean, there were a bunch of women.
Mm-hmm. He's such a nice guy. He's a nice guy, he's doing all these things.
Somebody's brother.
Mm-hmm.
Some young girl's brother. And this was after this guy had taken some girl on a date, and they sitting in front of her house in his car, and somebody walked up to the window and shot him in the head.
Oh.
Yes.
Damn.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow.
It's crazy. Oh, let me see what Tito said. He said, I warned my boy not to date my cousin. Me and my wife warned him. Now they are in a crazy ass relationship.
Well, maybe your boy was crazy too.
Exactly. That's why they're still in it.
Yeah.
That's why they said crazy love crazy. Crazy
love
crazy.
All right.
You know what's funny? Is there's a song by Billy Joel, and in the song he says, you know what? I might be right. You might be right. I might be crazy, but I could be just a lunatic you're looking for.
There you go. Crazy love crazy. Crazy love crazy.
All right. We're going to move on to the next segment of the next essential talking point. Fit, cooperative, and submissive. All the things a man wants. But let me preface this because, again, people get caught up in absolutes. Not all men want women as fit, cooperative, and submissive. Like, people, get over that shit. Like you really have to critically think and understand that when somebody posts that they don't mean that every entire man is looking for that. It's just a general statement, whatever.
Thank you.
We deal with generalities all day long, every day. So they just go out one ear, out the other. But for you people to sit there and say, oh, not all, you really got it's some issues with y'all. It's really, seriously. You don't need counseling. It's some serious issues with y'all.
Ain't nobody here in this free counseling?
Yeah. I ain't said that in a while. If you're one that can't understand that something is wrong with you, seriously, something is wrong with you. But anyways, fit, cooperative, and submissive. All the things a man wants, but not from another man. Why should men be afraid Whoa. What's good with that, Willie?
I posted a picture. I posted a picture that a friend of mine posted of what was once a man in Atlanta. And when I say you would have never knew, breast, beautiful hairstyle, light skin, makeup, flawless. This person went overboard. I mean, it was like all the things the man said he wants: fit, cooperative, single, whatever the case may be. She fit a lot of what it was, and that's what made me think about that subject, because we say we want fit, but then people take fit and they make it seem like it's got to be somebody small with a small waist and small legs or whatever case may be. Fit means somebody who you can go on a walk with, and they're not saying, well, we got to sit down every 2 minutes because I can't walk that far, or my feet hurt, or I got, I ain't got the right shoes on, or whatever the case may be. And so they can't do those kind of things. I like to walk. I like to, and I do exercise, and I run track and all that stuff. I'm not expecting to meet a woman that I'm going to take out on the track and we're going to do laps and sprints and stuff together. But if I say, let's go to the park and walk, and get to know each other, I'm expecting to be able to do that. Now, we can walk and talk and sit down and relax and things like that. But that's what I mean by fit, able to just do some things. Cooperative means that we're not going to be arguing. We're not going to be arguing and fussing, at the slightest thing you don't agree with. Submissive means that you're going to give me some eventually.
You gonna pay for that shit. You're gonna pay for that one. You're gonna pay for that one.
No, this is actually good, because that definition of submissive sounds a lot better than the idea you're gonna do what the F I say.
No, I don't want her to do what I say. That's my submissive right there.
Okay.
That's it. And we can do it any way she want to do it. That's what I'm saying.
So anyway, but getting to the meat of that.
Yeah, you went there. Yeah, you went there.
To the meat.
Getting to the meat of that is the fact that you're saying that there is concern on the part of men that there are trans women out there,
yes,
that are not revealing they're trans.
Yes,
and it's hard to tell.
And some people are getting killed over that. You read it in the paper.
Yes.
More now that I read one about a football player down, I think it was Texas, where he was. He was dating this person. He thought it was a girl and been dating for like months. But she would, I'm not ready. And then one day they were sitting in the car and he quickly reached and went between her legs, and she had a little
extra something there.
He found she had what he had. And he had a gun and pulled the gun out and just started shooting her right in the car.
Yeah,
he was trying to,
very
yeah,
unfortunate.
Yeah, you have to be honest and open. If that's what your lifestyle is, you don't want to have a person falling in love with you, or kissing and doing things with you, and you tell them no, but y'all kissing and doing other stuff, and then eventually you break the news to them that's who you are. That's
that needs to be revealed up front.
Because now you've already gotten that person and into you, and you've been sort of intimate with. Oh man, that's.
And then there's been cases where they've actually been intimate. I mean, so not trying to disparage anybody that's trans. However, I guess my take on it is like I don't understand if you're moving in the direction of entering a relationship, why you would not divulge that information, because and this is why I say this. So you have the whole LB,
Yeah, all the alphabets, yeah.
the alphabet soup movement, demanding to be recognized, right? So on this hand, you want to be recognized, you want to be
accepted,
celebrated even, but on this hand, you want to be covert. You can't have it both ways. You know, you need to be upfront with people, let them know, because everybody doesn't progress at the same rate, you know. So if a person is not progressive enough to handle that, you can't force it. It's not even fair for you to think you can force that on somebody.
I got a question. If, for example, you had a person who was a trans and they had the surgery and now they have the made vagina and all the stuff that they do, and they are full blown, you know, in that women's frame of mold, do you think that person should tell that guy that they used to be a male, or do you think now that they are transitioned and have all the parts of a female that they should not tell that person? What do you guys think?
I think if they're entering into a relationship with that person where before they become intimate, they need to divulge that.
Okay.
Because again, people have been killed over that. Like, if your life means something to you, you need to divulge that information.
What do you think,
See,
fellas?
I'll take it even a step further, and I'm going to be extreme with this. I believe this would be a crime to not reveal who you are. You cannot want acceptance and place conditions on somebody else as to whether they accept you or not. If they do not, they do not. But you are robbing an individual of the right to make an informed decision.
I 100% agree. I do.
And when you do that, you put somebody at risk. And this is what happens when people feel they have been robbed of the ability to make a decision that's in their own best interest. And this is why you have people that result to using lethal force to solve a problem that should have never really been a problem. People can say what they want to. You can call me whatever it is. I'm going to stand firm on that. This is why I don't deal with people that I do not know thoroughly enough, even in that context, because I'm aware of what people do in their insidious nature to be accepted. I'm not that type of dude. I'm not even giving a woman that I don't know, regardless of how attractive she is, the time of day until I know who she is. So if I gotta ask about baby pictures, when was the first time you menstruated?
We know, Herb, you asked 100 questions. We know.
He got a whole list. He got a whole list.
I'm just saying, yes. Fellas, do your work, man, because I think what a lot of fellas don't understand is there are certain physiological traits that a natural born woman is going to exhibit that a naturally born man does not. And if you conspicuously cue into those, you will be able to discern that there is some uneasiness with the individual that you're dealing with. Because if you find a woman that's that cooperative and she's in her mid to late 20s, you got to ask yourself the first thing: well, why aren't you married? That's a red flag. Rarely does a man find a woman who's attractive, who's cooperative, who's fit, who looks physically amazing, and she ain't married. Because generally she's kept off the market. Say it again, Willie?
There's a lot of them out there.
Yeah.
No. I understand. I'm not saying that there isn't, but that's to prompt the questions: why aren't you?
The reason why they ain't married ain't got nothing to do with
Nah.
they got some issues.
No. I agree.
I agree
That's
with
what
that you need to ask questions. I just don't see that as a red flag. I also want to say, I want to agree with Tito Roman. Yeah, if that person doesn't divulge that to you, it's the same as rape.
Rape, yeah.
because they took away your ability to say no. They took away your knowledge, to say no, this is not what I want. It's like having sex with a woman who's unconscious. What's the difference?
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's all right. You're doing something without informed consent.
Yes.
Let me share this. And I've been doing this like blog talk and all this stuff. And years ago, I guess one of these subjects was coming up, and I guess it was a transvestite. I guess she was following my stuff, and she ended up inboxing me, and she asked me, she's like, well, I have a lot of guys been coming at me and stuff like that, and what do you think I should do? Whatever. It's this one guy. I guess he was putting on a full court press on her, and she was like, "Yeah, I'm kind of feeling him, whatever." And I never really paid no attention there. When I looked at her pictures, I was like, "Oh, well, his pictures, whatever." I was like, "Holy shit, whatever." Like,
exactly.
She's like, "But I'm a man, and do you think I should say something to him?" And I'm like, yeah. I was like, yo, that stuff could be murder, whatever. You don't want to deceive him or whatever the case is. But looking at it, I was like, damn, if you can't tell this guy looking at the pictures that she like some
she look like a man.
Really, straight up. But
wow,
say some of them you can't tell.
Yeah.
You can't tell, and you like, damn, like
I've seen pictures of women who have transgendered into men.
Yep.
That is like, holy crap, you're kidding me. That used to be a woman.
I just posted on my page about that because that was a discussion about women and men transgender, and so I posted up. There's one that's actually an actor on 911. Houston 911 or something like that, whatever the show is a firefighter, and it's actually a trans woman who became a man that's playing the role of a trans woman that became a man on the show as a firefighter.
Okay.
And I thought it was just I thought it was a man playing the role, but it actually was a transgender woman that became a man, and she's playing that role as on the show as a firefighter, and she looks just like a man. She looks just like a man.
Now, definitely said the Adam's apple, feet or hands.
Yes.
Like back in the day, I would agree with you.
But nowadays they figure out how to
what they're doing, but
yeah.
Well, there's a couple things.
I'm gonna post them on my page again.
If when they were a man, they were on the petite side anyway.
Right. That's number one is bone structure.
Well, this one is a buff. I'm gonna post up the picture again because I posted up about.
I mean, like a man that's transgendered into a woman that doesn't necessarily you can't necessarily use hands, feet, and Adam's apple as because especially like I said, if when they were a man, they were on the petite side. Their feet aren't big. Their hands aren't big. Their hands aren't rough looking. And I can't even tell you. I don't know what they do with the Adam's apple these days. But you see a lot of transgender women that
you can't tell. See that. Yep, you can't tell. That used to be the sign. People say, "Look for the Adam's apple." Man, please. No. You gotta look for more than that nowadays. Yep.
But that's why I said the physiological, because there's some things that are innate to the gender that you can't hide. This is why I always tell men, ask certain questions that are gender specific. You ask them, when was your first menstrual cycle?
I mean, and if they come back and say, "Oh, when I was 13." Now what?
And you dig deeper. What was it like? And if you think I'm being a little foolish, then ask yourself: Would you rather know, or would you rather not know? What was?
It's not that I agree with you. Ask questions. You'd rather know than not know. I'm just not convinced that these questions will get you there.
Yeah.
No. I'm not. No.
How do you slide that in as an adult? That conversation.
Well, you say you like menstrual cycle. Walks.
Hold on. Let me preface this by saying.
That's smooth.
Let me preface this by saying, hopefully, the individual that you're speaking to, you've already done some preliminary background search on. I'm not saying that a person you just met out the street, because I'm not dealing with a person I just met off the street for those particular reasons, especially in a city like Atlanta. I already know Atlanta is the East Coast version of San Francisco, and you're subject to get some of everything in Atlanta. So if I touch down in Atlanta, I'm not talking to no female.
I thought Atlanta was the city where the players play.
I'm not a player. I am not a player. Atlanta, chicks in Atlanta are off limits. Period. Unless you come highly recommended. They off limits. I have my boy down there, David Sincere, shout out to him. He talks about how they are in Atlanta. I want no parts of nothing in Atlanta unless I've seen childhood pictures, spoke to your sisters, your auntie and them. No, absolutely not. Sorry. Them just the way that goes.
Be careful in Atlanta. Definitely got to be careful down there.
So let me ask you this, and I know I posted that. So is it okay for a man to ask a woman if she was born automatically a female?
Yes.
I think there's a better way to ask. I don't know if you ask it just like that, but you.
How do you ask?
How do you ask?
I've never had a concern where I met a person and thought they might have been in a previous life a man. So I wouldn't even know how to ask that question. And if I did suspect something like that, I probably would cut the conversation short. If I have doubt, then I'm cutting the conversation short. You know what I mean? I'm not even going to, because if I'm thinking that, just the fact that I thought it is a red flag for me.
Well, this is the funny thing. This is how they catch a lot of guys. They catch a lot of guys in the club after he's had one or two beverages.
I never had that many too.
No, just one or two. And they catching the right man. That's the key. The right man.
Oh, okay.
Who is off just a little bit. He's affected by the alcohol, and he's not in the right frame of mind. And she catches him with her physical attractiveness. She starts getting on him, starts putting the moves on him. He's like, yo, all right, this might be my lucky night. Mostly it's the younger guys who happen to get caught up. It's not the older fellas.
Because I tell people I'm a cornball. I don't have no game. And if you laughing and talking to me about, and you're a young girl and I'm looking all cute like that, I already know something wrong because I ain't that damn funny.
And that's what I'm talking about, the physiological aspects that are different from men and women. Men know who they are once they get to be a certain age. You're not going to tell a man that he's funny and he ain't never been funny.
That's a good lead in. If they laughing at you and all that stuff, like you just so funny, you just throw it in there like.
There you go. There you are. If you think I'm funny, then let me ask you a question that may not be so funny. Because a woman who's born, a woman's gonna ask her, what the hell type of woman you accustomed to dealing with? That's what I'm talking about. Those natural reactions that you get from a woman that you wouldn't get from a man. Because if you ask a man that question, what are most men going to tell you?
If you ask,
you want to find out.
What question?
Oh,
were you born a man?
Oh shit! Oh,
he's gonna challenge that. Because that's innate to masculinity, is to rise to a challenge. A woman is going to recoil. You challenge a man to a fight, he's going to fight. You challenge a female to a fight, more often than not, she's not going to want that. Those are the differences that you have to be able to clue into as a man that's going to allow you to be able to ask that next question that's going to allow you to walk through that door. Because she's already opened the door by displaying an interest in you. So if your interest is sexual with her, then I would advise you to open every door, explore every avenue, don't leave no question unasked. Whether she answers it or not is a different story. But ask a question. Don't play boo boo the fool and talk about, well, I didn't know. You didn't do enough research. She caught you slipping.
You have to be careful on how you ask certain questions, because even if that person turns out to be a full-blown woman, now she's offended at the fact that you came right out and asked them that question that way. What? Okay, well, what is it about me?
What did you see that made you think?
That made you think I might be a man? Exactly.
At some point,
so that's why I said you have to be careful in the way you.
You know what? Matter of fact, don't even answer the question. Lose my number.
There you go. And that's
we wonder why people in their 40s and 50s say dating is awkward. That is awkward. Some of the questions that you may have to ask in this day and time.
It is.
That we never thought about before. And it's real.
Never imagine having to go out and wonder, if you're actually talking to an actual woman, if that's what you thought you were talking to. But like I said, for me, if I even have an inkling of idea that that's what I'm talking to, but I'm an observer. Like I said, I'm an observer before I even communicate. I sit and watch and see what's going on with the person. Watch who they talk to, watch how they act, how they move in the room, even if it's at a public setting or, in a park or wherever. If I see a person and I'm interested in, I'm going to watch them first before I approach to see just, how they move and how they act, who they're surrounded by. Because sometimes you can tell if you want to be bothered by a person by who they're surrounded by, who their friends are, and how they act with their friends. But if I have any feeling that person gave me the idea that they might have once been a man, or they got manly tendencies or whatever that make me think that, no, I'm not even entertaining.
So it goes back to the question: if it was reversed and a woman on a date and they say, "Have you ever been with another man?" Like, how do men respond to that? How do you respond to that? Because there's some men who have been with men and really don't want to divulge that information.
And since you brought up Atlanta, that can also depend on the situation. Also,
are you gonna keep it real or what?
As a man,
listen, because you have young men who grew up where they were in abuse. You know what I mean? They've been molested or. Something happened where
you have men in our age range that have had the same experience.
And something happened, where somebody took advantage of them when they were young or whatever. That would be that answer would be yes. But then that's something that person may not want to talk about because it wasn't like they openly and willingly did this situation.
Well, I think that's what Dave's speaking voluntarily.
It depends on the situation.
That's different. Yeah,
that depends.
Yeah, Dave's speaking voluntarily.
The answer would be yes, but do you want to tell them yes? You know what I mean? Because now they already got, before you can even get out the reason, which could still be detrimental to you, you still, this person's already got ideas in their mind. Oh, he been with a man. Oh my God. You can't even finish the conversation because they already got all these, then that question, if you say yes, then it's going to lead to another question, and it's going to take you down a road that you may not even be ready to go down yourself. So in that situation, if it would have been me in a situation like that, and that would have been my situation, I would have said no. I would say no, I've never been with a man. But in the end of that question, in my mind, I said willingly. I wouldn't have said willingly out loud, but I would have said in my mind willingly. I would have said no, I've never been with a man.
I would have to agree with you, Willie, because that's not the type of thing you just not right. Because it's a shameful thing. It's just not the type of thing you divulge to anybody because
exactly
that sharing something like that requires trust in another person.
Mm-hmm. Not somebody you just met and y'all on the first date.
Issue.
Right.
So if it wasn't a like if you weren't a willing participant, this was something you were interested in doing, then yeah.
See, that's why I said it depends on the situation, and you have situations like that where a young boy, grew up in a situation like that, and that happened to him. He didn't willingly participate in it, and I'm sure, he's still.
And you have to be careful with information like that because people actually would use that to hurt you.
Yep.
Yeah.
So now,
and I think
we never got all the way down that road to be that serious. I mean, to be, to be that close, and you've divulged this to me,
right?
And now I'm pissed off at you, and I say something really ugly where that's concerned.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now you've been traumatized again.
Yep.
And the thing about it is, when you divulge that information, whether it's a guy or girl, then you end up finding out that it's more common than what you think. It happens. It happens often.
A lot.
It's that neighbor, that uncle, that aunt, or whatever the case is. Those people that you have around these family functions, and they get drunk and they like, hey, come sit on my lap. And these different things that you always have to be conscious about, whatever, that it just shit ain't right, man. It's a lot of stuff that we be worried about. It's a lot of stuff just ain't right, whatever, that we don't want to lock in on. We kind of sweep it under the rug, and we wonder why we have the issues that we have in our community, whatever. One of the first things is trust, whatever. Things just ain't right. And people, oh no, everything is good and all that stuff, whatever. We need to wake the fuck up. Excuse my language. We need to wake up, man. There's a lot of stuff going on, man.
Back in April, I was actually the moderator for this topic. It was an international roundtable, and it was people from Scotland and Canada and India. It was a roundtable, and I was the moderator for it. And that was the topic of young boys being molested, going through that. I forgot the title of it, the silent something. The quiet secret or the silent secret, because what it was that young men, they if it happened to them, they were afraid to tell that it happened because of the backlash they would get from other men and their peers. And then also the fact as they got older, a lot of them felt so guilty and felt so ashamed about it that some got into heavy drug use, heavy alcohol use. Some of them attempted suicide. This one guy, he attempted suicide like 3 or 4 times. And I mean, you really start, and I was the moderator for it. They asked me to be the moderator for it because I do a lot of groups with this program, Boys to Men 360. And it's 360, which is all around the world, is basically what it is. And we do workshops like every weekend. And they asked me to be the moderator for that one. And it was heartbreaking, but it was interesting, the fact that things that we never even think about. So when you brought up that subject, that was the first thing came to my mind, was that roundtable and how these men talked about being molested by an uncle or cousin at such a young age, and how years later, drugs, alcohol, all the things that they did to try to escape from
self-medicate.
Right, self-medicate, because again, they couldn't tell anybody. They were too embarrassed and too ashamed to tell anybody. So, they're acting out and they're doing all these things, and the parents thinking, they're just a juvenile delinquent, when they're actually going through so much inner pain and so much inner, hurt that, that they can't share with anybody. And they talked about how when in certain situations, in certain countries, and even in the US, when the kids would go, to the police and report it, it wasn't taken seriously. It was actually worse than how they do women in rape situations. Because you're a man, you're not supposed to get raped. You're not supposed to, be in a situation like that. That's unheard of. And in certain countries.
But if you think about it, just think about the terms that tend to be used when it comes to male rape. Somebody took your manhood.
Yeah, and that's what they were talking about. Like, these terms, you took your manhood, you're now you're demasculated, all these kind of things. And like I said, the one guy that was on the show, he said it happened to him when he was young by, a trusted relative. And by the time he was in his teens, he was into the drugs and alcohol and just, anything he could do to try to just not think about it. And it took, he had been clean, I think he said like 5 years. And this guy was like 50 something. And he had been clean like 5 years. But this happened to him when he was a kid, a teenager. And to go, you figure, almost 40 years self-medicating, trying to forget something that happened to you. And I mean, it was really heartbreaking, but it was also enlightening because it goes on, and it's the unspoken secret that that young men don't tell and are afraid to tell. So
in an order of 20 wings and a half.
So to ask, tell her turn the mic down.
Get enough wings for me, Herb.
Yeah, get enough wings for all of us.
He ordered wings, whatever. Really, dude? Oh man.
So we have to. I mean, so when a person asks a question like that, have you been with another man? You have to you have to think about how you word things, how you ask questions, because you don't, even though you want to find out the information, you don't want to offend the person. Yeah. Is there a certain way I'm acting that makes you think that I've been with another man? You know what I mean? Just the same way it was with, the women and things like that. So you have to really be careful on how you ask questions, because that's what's going to either make or break that relationship if it goes any further.
Yeah,
that's true. You have to find a way to craft it.
Yeah,
you have to be delicate on how you answer it. You have to have that emotional intelligence yourself to say, how could I get this out without offending them?
Mm-hmm.
But trying to find out that information that I want for myself,
right?
So I can move
peace of mind.
Yeah. So
peace of mind.
It's a lot.
Wow.
But when you think about it, and we say what's wrong with relationships and all that, it's a lot of stuff that we have to work through. That we have to work through, and probably our level of questioning need to be at a higher level to talk about it. It just can't be like, what are you interested in?
Right.
You might have to start asking about trauma and different things, whatever, your parents and stuff like that, getting social history on the people that you're dating. And I know that probably don't sound like fun, but
you need to know
about the long run. It's something that you want to know, because if there's somebody who say, well, I don't really deal with family, my family's never been close knit, but you have this giddy family, y'all celebrate, y'all get together and all that, and you're feeling this person, you already know that's going to eventually
that's going to be an issue.
It's going to be an issue. So
yeah. And I talked about that. Like that. I talked about that myself. I moved out when I was 16 because of my family situation. So, when I got married, my wife was a family-oriented person. They did everything family. And I felt kind of weird sometimes because my family was never there in any of the things we did. Now, I had friends and things that would come to some of the events, but never once did any of my family ever participate. They didn't even come to the wedding.
Dang.
Yeah, they refused to come to the wedding. But my stepsister came, and a cousin who I'm very close with, she came from Atlanta with her family. And I mean, me and her have been close since we were little kids. So, I knew she would be there. But, my immediate family, mother, sisters, none of them came. Nope.
Herb, did you get them 50 order wings in the party tray?
And I hope you got the lemon pepper for me.
Lemon pepper is actually pretty good. If you've never tried lemon pepper as a seasoning at home, I would advise you to try it. I use it often, and I'm telling you, boy, it has some kick. I like it on chicken. I haven't tried it. I don't eat steak. and I'll eat pork. So the only thing I tried on is chicken, but chicken and turkey, because I picked up some turkey loins and I've seasoned them up. Boy, they cook up pretty goddamn good.
Lemon on nothing but lemonade.
No, it's a seasoning.
You don't even taste
I know what it is, but it has lemon. Those things I don't do. Now I just got hooked on the garlic parm wings.
Garlic parm.
And I just bought some of the nastiest garlic parm wings in my life yesterday. I was so mad, man.
Did you post a picture of them?
Yes.
Yeah, pretty good, Willie.
Those things were so nasty. They must have forgot what the order was. So some of the wings had honey on them. Some of them had lemon on them. And then what they did was they remember, oh, wait a minute, no, these supposed to be garlic parm. They just sprinkled the garlic parmesan on top of the wings.
Oh, yeah.
I was so mad, man.
Yeah, that sounds nasty.
I had went to the track and worked out, and I ordered them while I was at track, because I was like, when I get off the track, I'm going to get these garlic parm wings. I'm going home and eat. And, man, I was so done. I was so done. I ate about 4 of them, put the rest in the refrigerator, and I said, I'm just going to make my own sauce and eat them tomorrow. I didn't eat them today. I ate something else today, but I still couldn't fool with them today. I was so traumatized. And I could not believe those wings, man.
Wow.
I said, some of them had honey, some of them had lemon on them.
Yeah.
I said, they must have forgotten
And
what the
all
order
of them
was.
have parm on top of them.
Yeah, and just poured. I mean, you can see it was just shook on. It wasn't like a sauce or nothing. They were just shook. They just shook Parmesan on top of it. I said, you got to be kidding me. You got to be kidding me.
All right.
Only in Niagara Falls. Only in Niagara Falls.
Moving on to the final segment.
Uh-oh.
If a man says he's not ready for children,
Lord,
and his partner gets pregnant, who's at fault? And I know you're probably thinking, like, why are we having this conversation? It's just not geared to our age. It's people younger, whatever the case, that listen to this stuff, whatever. Damn, it's real. Who's at fault?
Both.
He don't want no kid.
Both of them.
He don't want a kid.
Okay, so what does he need to do?
Absolutely.
So what does he need to do? Wrap that shit joint up. Wrap that joint up. That's how he can make sure. Vasectomy, that's how he can make sure. There's a lot of things he can do, but then there's a lot of things she can do too. They both.
Okay, so here's the thing. Say he has expressed, I don't want any kids, so I'm not ready for kids right now.
Right.
And she says,
well, you're going raw dog.
I want kids.
Mm-hmm. Or she just don't say nothing.
She's made it known. She's made it known she wants kids. He's made it known that he doesn't.
Okay.
She ends up pregnant.
But how does that happen?
How you think it happens? They still screwing, right?
Because he did not wrap that thing up.
There you go.
I'd already said it. That one right there is both their fault. Even if she don't say anything when he says I don't want any kids and she don't say anything, the fact is he knows what he doesn't want. Well, I can't feel it with a rubber on. No, you okay? You're gonna feel it in your pocket later.
Well, let me play devil's advocate. What is the failure rate of condoms?
I don't know, but all I know is if
you don't wear one.
Hold on. No.
It's gonna be 100%.
No, that's what I said. That's what I'm saying. Let me play devil's advocate.
Right, I understand.
If he's using one, what is the failure rate? I'm going to if he's using one.
But you know,
well, I mean, if he's using a condom, and if they've both, if she's expressed, yeah, I want kids, and he's expressed, no, I don't, so they're using a condom to try to avoid it, and she gets pregnant, then it's really anybody's fault.
And it's nobody's fault then, because they actually both were. Well, if she's not taking anything, then.
But if she's not against the idea of having children,
then it will
somebody's gonna hold that. Somebody gotta hold the bag. No pun intended.
But I'm gonna talk about something. When you talked about the failure rate of a condom, in my program, we do this activity with the kids, and the kids love it because they get such a kick out of it. We bring in condoms and we bring in cucumbers.
Yes.
And we show them how to put a condom on a cucumber, and you would be surprised. And all these boys who macho, I know how to put on a condom. I know how to put on a condom. And then when they go to put that condom on that cucumber, the failure rate of how many of them break it, how many of them don't know how to put on, how many of them don't know that you're supposed to actually twist the tip and leave a little pocket of air at the top and twist it and then roll it down onto the penis, onto the cucumber. A lot of them don't know that. So what happens is they're pulling it down, and then it breaks. Or they pull it down and it's on the penis, but you have to remember, if you don't put that little space in the top of it, that about a half an inch to an inch, if you don't leave that space, when you're having sex with that person, you're already pre-ejaculating, so fluids build up in that condom, and that condom begins to slide down, and if it's already on tight, that's how it also breaks as well. And so that's what happens.
Okay, so I mean, back again, it's either both of their fault or neither one's.
Well, no, but that's because
she's not taking anything, then it's not really her fault. Well, it is her fault. Well, it was, if he was using the condom and it broke, but she wasn't taking anything, then if you want to blame someone, it would be her, because he was trying to prevent a pregnancy. She made no effort to prevent it because in the back of her mind, she wanted to be pregnant. So it was her desired outcome. I can't say it was her fault because it wasn't like you blamed her, but that was her situation. But both people are responsible for making sure, if that's what either one of them say that they don't want, is to find a way to, on your own, to make your efforts where you try to prevent it from happening.
I'm going to go against the popular narrative that people think I'm probably going to say, and I'm going to say it's his blame. It's his fault. Why? Because he's going to be held liable for child support. And two, if he didn't want a kid at all, he should have been dealing with a woman who was thinking the same way that he was. You guys already know my stance. I don't deal with women who can't conceive for that particular reason. I'm not leaving my livelihood, my financial well-being in the hands of someone else. That's my stand. That's my gold standard. That's how I roll. So you don't end up in these situations, but too often men are driven by how attractive she is, by how badly he wants to better, and they don't think about the long-term ramifications of condom failure, whether it's from misuse or the condom actually just failing. And this is why we have a lot of families that are, I don't want to say dysfunctional, because dysfunctional isn't the right word. We have a lot of families that are unplanned because men, and I'm going to lay this at the feet of men, have not thought about, what am I going to do if she gets pregnant?
We talk about, like I said, I talk about this stuff in my program.
Consider that.
I do this with my young men because, like I said to you, one of the things we talk to them about is entrepreneurship. So we talk about business with them, and then what I do is I go back and we talk about this, about pregnant. I said, so now you're dating a young lady and you refuse to use protection, and this young lady gets pregnant. What happens to the income that comes from your business? See, now they understand. Exactly. Now they understand why they need to, instead of saying, all right, you need to wear condom, or don't have sex. No, this is what happens to your money of your business if you get this young lady pregnant. How do you think that's going to affect your business and the income that you were making? Now they think twice. They think a lot more about how to be careful. And then, like I said, then we bring in the cucumbers and we bring in the condoms. We get those from Planned Parenthood. They donate them to us, and we come in and we do. And the kids get such a kick out of it, but at the same time, they're learning about it, because you have those 2 or 3 that they the player and they know, oh, I know how to put on the condom, and then they go and they put it on wrong. And the kids just,
so big discussion 76. He said it was never explained to him this way. I'm assuming you mean it was never explained to you how to properly put on.
That's what I was wondering.
So that led me to think something like, Willie, you got your program, and you have some guys in the house with their sons and all that stuff, but I don't know the details that fathers go through to school their sons on that. Like a lot of times it doesn't happen, and there's no proper planning for it. So we have these guys that when they get 18, 19, 20, they have kids, whatever, because they're never really properly taught. Even in a household with a solid father,
they don't discuss it.
Yeah, they're not going to discuss it like, hey, son.
And this is actually like, this is
come on down to the counselor's corner.
I'm
talk about how to put on the condom, whatever.
Exactly.
I never knew this, so
what that would I explain?
How to put on a condom.
Yeah.
Not that I have the equipment to, but I raise sons.
But you want to make sure that they putting it on right, and that your daughters know that the guy putting it on right.
But I can remember shipping my son off to college with boxes and boxes of condoms.
Yep. But he was on his own to figure out how to do it.
Yeah. Yep.
Exactly. and that is why I, like I told you, my program, I get so much rage.
Thankfully, we didn't have any he didn't have any outside, unwanted children or anything like that. But wow. I
get so much, people talk to me about my program, and this is the things that I do with them, because I was a teen father. So like I said, I try to teach them to avoid the things and do the things that I used to do, avoid being a teen father. So I had to show them how to put on a condom. I have businesses. I was in real estate. I'm in the stock market. All those things I teach them. But a lot of things I teach them based on my life experiences. So that way I can help them to avoid some of the pitfalls that I made in life. And that was one of them, was becoming a father at 17. And having to go away to college and work 2 jobs at the same time and still take care of a daughter, because I wasn't going to drop out of college because I had plans. But these are the things, like I said, and when these kids, they get such a kick out of, and they'll ask me, Mr. Price, can you bring in some cucumbers again and some condoms? Because they get such a kick out of it. And then they invite their other friends to come to the program on that day. And they say, can we bring some of our friends so they can learn how to put the condom, because they don't know.
And that's how you teach them all. People, we especially with the way sex ed is going now, you have some parents that don't want to teach. Yep. But ultimately, doing what Willie said, you circumvent the parents, because the kids are going to seek out the information. And anytime a kid seeks out information, they're going to apply it. And that is the biggest thing that we can take away from this, is kids will do what they know works.
But parents also need to know, because that may not be the only child in the household.
Correct.
So parents need to know, and that's something that we're talking to like a couple of different schools and agencies about now, is doing some parent programs.
Yes.
Including parent programs with the kids and adults with the parents. So that way it's taken back and done with the entire family, even the financial literacy stuff. It makes no sense to.
That is the only way to go. That is the only way to go.
And that's what we talk about.
It doesn't matter educating kids, whatever,
and they go home to that environment. Going home to the environment.
That's the only way to go. They both have to be included. Other than that, you can have all this federal money and do all this and put it that way, but if they're both not included, it's just a waste of damn money. That's the only way to go.
And I'm finding programs out there right now. When I look at, like I said, I got the 501c3 now, and I'm looking at these grants, and a lot of these grants exclude the family.
They do.
You have to only work with the child.
Right.
So what I'm looking at doing is getting some funding from grants, but then I'm also looking at getting donations. So that way I can, do a parenting program on its own. Because there's nothing out there for that type of, training for the parents.
Yeah, that's pretty commendable, because and we talk about this type of scenario on this broadcast all the time, about what parents don't know.
Yeah, and there's a lot they don't know.
Everybody wasn't raised in an ideal home setting, and so now these same people might be parents, and You know, just like with any of us, any parent or whatever, you do the best you can with what you have and what you know. So, yeah, getting the information out there, because you got people just winging it. Just
Yeah.
That's what they're doing, winging it. They don't know, and they don't know where to get the information
they don't
from.
have a resource or know of a resource to turn to with their questions or concerns,
And
or
so that's
they may not even know they need.
exactly.
You know, like on another broadcast, Herb had brought up the fact about grocery shopping. If you,
a lot of them don't know how to do that.
If you didn't learn it, you know, if you didn't have the type of home where that was something you picked up from, maybe not from actually grocery shopping, but from what you saw your parents bring in the house, you know, what type of groceries you saw them bring in the house, you just don't know.
Yeah.
You just find yourself, and as an adult, suddenly having to feed yourself and possibly children, and it's like
no plan whatsoever.
Okay, look, these ramen noodles are pretty cheap.
Oh God, don't say ramen noodles. No, don't do the ramen noodles to them poor kids. Please.
That ought to fill them up.
Yeah, it'll fill them up all right. Poor
and
children.
One of the things also, when you have that matriarch or whatever, or that lead person in the family, and once they pass away, who's willing to step up to the plate?
A
lot of people shy away from that because we're so disconnected because of social media, in the communication that we have, that stuff don't get passed on. Everything that my grandmother, my grandfather said, I still hold it near and dear to my heart. And it has got me to this point. Granted, that may not work for this generation, but to at least have that and try to build on it, and then craft other ways to try to integrate this younger generation. Y'all don't know. People don't know. Excuse my language. We're fucked. We're fucked. Excuse my language. We're in a bad situation, whatever. That
I think you tweak it. I think you tweak those same that same knowledge that your grandparents and parents passed down to you. I think you tweak it for the following generation, but it's still pretty much the same thing. You just got to figure out how to apply it to the current situation so that the child will understand.
You gotta be able to show and prove that you live by it. You can't be someone on public assistance and all of this stuff and complaining about how broke you are, whatever the case is. Kids want instant gratification.
Yes.
You can't say nothing to me when your ass is broke. And every time I ask you for $5, $10, you ain't got it.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear nothing you have to say, mom or dad. Mom or dad, shut the hell up. So I'm gonna go to somebody else who can show me
how to make that fast money.
Yeah, this is how you get it done. So you're canceled out. You're canceled out. So we wonder why, again, another segment or sector on the destruction of our families and stuff.
Yeah. That's true. Because they're gonna go and try. They want that money so they can have more, and they can even help out the family, and they turn to the streets. And that's what we find is that these kids are turning to the street because that's what they see, that's what they're surrounded by. And so you can only emulate what you see. You don't see the business person and the doctor and the professional or the entrepreneur. And so all they see as that hustler, that drug dealer, the person, the cousin that goes steal and, got a nice car and, all these kind of things. And so they figure that's the only way that they can survive. That's the only way they can make it. And they're not encouraged to go to school. They're not encouraged to get education.
And even when you think about it, we talked about this before, the layaway plan, the young ladies. and they say, "Hey, I got this older guy. He interested in me.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a senior in high school or junior. I want to
Mm-hmm.
have the nice sneakers. I want to have this. I want a Coach purse, and I want all this stuff." Every time I ask my mother, I ain't got it. I ask my dad, he ain't
Dang
got
got
it.
it. Yep.
Whatever, but he got it.
Yep.
He got it,
He'll
and
take
I
care of
don't
me.
get it because I want to look good in front of my peers. So that's what mattered to me. Whatever. So don't
Mm-hmm.
tell me not to talk to him because y'all can't do shit for me. Y'all
Yeah.
can't do nothing for me. So this man, 30, 31, or whatever the case is, he can take care of me. And I know I'm not trying to promote this. I'm just want people
Explain
to
it,
look,
right.
explain
No,
it, whatever,
I get what
understand.
you're saying. It's how
So
it
And
that's
it
why
needs
how
to
it
be talked
occurs.
about. It needs to be talked about because we don't talk about it, and
But I mean,
people
I
try to
don't
sweep
really
it under the
know
carpet.
how you would combat that given the scenarios that you gave. Like how I didn't have those issues. I'm not just talking about me growing up. Of course I didn't,
Mm-hmm.
but even raising my kids, I didn't have those issues. Number one, they didn't they weren't raised on welfare, food stamps, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
They saw me go to work every day. But for somebody that is less fortunate, for a family that's less fortunate, I mean, I don't know what you could do to make that unattractive.
Send them to my
Well,
program. Send them to my program. They have their
it's
school
exactly what
program. That's what
it's
it is.
exactly what Willie said. You have to teach them side by side. Because when I ran for the school board in 2017, it was highly unpopular. We have an issue in Niagara Falls with truancy. And what I said is this: I said, if the truant officers are ineffective, then what you need to do is scrap the truant officers, take that money, and put it into programs to where you can bring the parents in the school simultaneously with their children. So you're
Okay.
teaching them both at the same time. That way, the lessons that the kid is learning is being reinforced at home. So now that you have what the kid is learning and the parents learning, you have some type of congruency. So now that family that has the potential to fall by the wayside, you've actually strengthened the foundation so that they can build. Because if you arrest what the kid is doing, then you have the ability to stop the vicious cycle that is kids falling, kids that are born in poverty, staying in poverty. Because I'm a prime example of that. I was born into poverty. I'm no longer an impoverished person. That's because I had people that took the time out to say, if you do this, you will get this. And this is what I preach in my program, just like Willie does. I said, for the kids that are 17, 18, if you're smoking weed, kick the habit. Go down to the casino. Apply there for security. They're struggling for people. The reason why I say security is this. You're going to get 40 hours guaranteed. In addition to that 40 hours, you're going to get enrolled in a 401k. You're going to get medical. You're going to get paid breaks. Every week you are paid, take $20, put that money aside for a couple of years. In a couple of years, you will have enough money to go down to the tax auction and buy you a home. You buy that home, you take it to the bank, you get it appraised. The bank is going to give you enough money to bring that house up to code. You will have three things. You have a place to live, you'll have credit, and you'll have a job. You are well on your way to establishing yourself as a man, and you're doing this at 21, 22. So by the time you get to be 30, you've established yourself and you don't need the streets. But so often these kids aren't getting that information because their parents don't know because they've never done it.
They haven't experienced it, right?
Right.
You can't teach them something that they haven't experienced, and that's why I said my program. That's what I teach these kids. That's what we do. We do financial literacy, entrepreneurship, real estate, and then introduction to the stock market. And that was how my stepfather taught me. Save your money, go to school, and I want you to go to college. He told me, I want you to go to college. He said, this way, until you get into real estate, you'll have something to fall back on. So that's what I did. I went to college, and at the same time, I was saving my money. And then when I graduated, I was able to buy my first house from the auction. I actually bought 2 houses at the auction. Within 10 years, I ended up with 20 houses in the city of Buffalo. And that's what I was into. So I started businesses. I started a property management company, property inspection company. I was doing all these different businesses. And then I got into doing workshops and trainings and the things I do with real estate. And then started writing the books for the kids, and then got into the stock market. So, I mean, those are the things that I know how to do. And that's why I can teach them to the kids, because these are things I actually have done. So I'm teaching them firsthand the ins and outs of how to be successful. And I didn't grow up around those kind of people, but I watched the people who were doing those things. And then I went and started to hang around those people. I started meeting people who were in real estate. I started meeting people who were in the stock market. And I would go where I knew people in that field would be, and I would connect with them. And that's what I teach these young men how to do. Surround yourself with better. You can't stay around your friends if they're not doing anything that's going to make you better.
Right. EPMD said it years ago, if I hang around with 9 broke friends, I'm bound to be the 10th one.
That's right. I have that sign I put up in my classroom when I do my program. I have that sign, one of the signs I put up.
That's just something I've always told my kids.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if you're the smartest person in the room, you need to change your friends. Your friends, you need to change.
That's right.
Mm-hmm.
Woo-wee. A lot of good information. A lot of stuff was said tonight. We approaching almost on the 2-hour mark, and I don't want to keep y'all. And I know everybody got busy schedules and stuff going on, so we gonna come up with some closing comments. And again, like I always say, this stuff build upon each other. If you listening, share with the next friend. Come on, make your comments in the thread. If you feeling ultra superlative, say, hey, I'm gonna join the panel. I got something to say, or whatever.
Come on, y'all.
That's the ultimate level, to join the panel and give your feedback.
That's right.
And again, we take suggestions for topics and all that stuff, because seriously, we have to talk about this stuff. We have to.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. And as you can see, it's so many different things that even us as adults say, well, I never was taught that this way. I never knew how to do that, or never do it. I mean, we used to say back in the days, it was to be the birds and the bees, where they you sit down and they talk to you about that. I never had that conversation with my father or my grandfather or whatever the case is. I heard stuff from people that was older than me. Mm-hmm. But now, as I got older and I started thinking, I was like, man, these some efforts didn't know what the hell they was talking about, whatever. So
all that misinformation.
We're misled on stuff, whatever. So, man, we got to change up the plight. Daphne said, I even told them to get certified in New York State and get nationally certified.
Absolutely.
Globally.
What people don't realize is this. There are countries in Europe who are bringing American English teachers over there. They will pay for your flight, relocation, and a whole lot of other stuff to teach English to their students. There are programs out there. So what Daphne is saying is absolutely spot on. You want to travel, you want to go see the world, you want to get paid, that's a road to do it. Absolutely.
And so one of y'all take this down. Daphne gave a suggestion for
I'm looking at that. Point. In growth and following the white supremacy.
That probably can be a whole show.
Why, as a community, are we so engrossed in following supremacy? She would have to come on and explain that one.
I think what she's saying is this: why don't we forge our own path as opposed to taking the path of white supremacy? In other words, why do we do what they do?
Like
there's
what?
A couple. Well, the path to wealth, business owning. Is it? Hold on.
I'm listening. I ain't saying nothing. I'm listening.
Why do we need to go to school, get degrees, when we can open our own businesses and teach our kids to open our own businesses, whether we construct things, we farm, or we do other things that are independent, similar to what Amish people do. Amish people don't follow the tried and true path to financial freedom, but yet and still they are, even within this system that we call capitalism, they still function for themselves. They don't want for anything. Whatever happens to the outside, it doesn't affect them.
But they learn from each other.
Correct. And that's what she's asking.
I understand what she's saying, but in that portion of it, I understand what she's saying. But the thing is, in that society of what you were just saying, that population, those skills and those activities are passed down, so that way that goes through the family. That's not what's passed down into Black society these days.
That's what she's asking.
It used to be. It used to be. We were the bricklayers. We were the carpenters.
Right.
We were we were all those skills. We were the skilled laborers.
Right.
And our families, our generations back then wanted us to be better than what they were. So they encouraged their kids not to be bricklayers, but to go to college, get education, go to school, get educated, go to school. But what they did was they made school so difficult for us to get what we needed to be successful. And that's why in the beginning, they tried to prevent us from going to school. And then when we did go to school, we weren't allowed to be in certain classes with a certain amount of kids. There was always some kind of limitation to prevent us from getting the education that we would need to be the success that our parents wanted us to be. And so now we're at an age where it's not just education, but now you're competing with your black counterpart, female counterpart, your woman, because
hold on. Well, let's say something for the topic though.
Don't get me started. Don't get me started.
It never ends. I want to say something to Swan. This comment, she said, "I would like to join the panel again when the topics are clear throughout the week."
What's she talking about?
You can already tell. Like,
what's she talking about?
You can already tell. I can say this. These last weeks since school started, I fell short. Usually, I have a theme going on, and you can kind of tell he's drumming in on this point. But since the start of the school year, I don't know what the hell going on. So I'll get to drum in on the point like that. But for the most part, you already know where we going
the topic
on subject matters, whatever. So don't let that be your factor to say, I'm not going to join the panel, whatever. Because if you want to know, you can get that information. Swanda, when you're ready to join, let's get it.
That's right.
I don't think people realize that these topics weren't assembled until about Saturday. So it's not as if we sit and we all do research on this. Some of the stuff we already know. We're just sharing it. People in the chat, they're sharing what they know, our experiences. People don't realize that between everybody that's sitting on this board or sitting on this panel, not to mention the people in the listening audience, we bring almost 200 years worth of lived experience to this discussion. It's like the pastor said when my mother died. He said, when an elder dies, that library is lost. And mainly it's lost because we don't have these type of conversations. We always talk about the Sunday dinner. The Sunday dinner was probably the number one place where information was transferred.
Yeah, that's right.
As a people, we were a verbal people. We communicated by drums, by spoken history. Written history might be old, but spoken history is the oldest history known to man, because before there was written language, there was always spoken language. That's always going to be true. No matter what written language is there, you're always going to be able to maintain the ability to speak longer after you may not be able to write. This is why functionally illiterate people are able to survive in this country, because they can speak and listen. Never forget that.
All right. So We got a lot. As you can see, somebody take notes. What Swanda said, David, you know that I don't have an issue speaking up. I don't have time to constantly refute the rhetoric.
What?
Yeah.
What?
I understand.
Oh,
I know you have
Lord.
no problem speaking up. I know that. But I'm just saying, Swanda, I know you, and I know no matter what, if you came on the panel, you can hang with the best of them.
That's
so
right.
You don't need to know the subject area when you verse in multiple areas. So just bring your ass on here. I don't mean to be rude, but just bring
Come on,
it
see
on.
us.
So yeah, because I already know you got a skill set that you can hang with the best, no matter what the subject is. So moving on, closing point, talking points, whatever. Let's get it so we can get up out of here.
I'll go first. Each one teach one. You know how I like to close. Growth and understanding the curve.
No.
I got wings and pizza coming.
At 11 o'clock at night.
You should have just said wings and pizza.
I said each one teach one.
11 o'clock at night, eating wings and pizza. Oh,
hey, that's why I can't get slim, man.
Man, oh man.
It's the life of a midnight. It's the life of a midnight shift worker, man. This is what I generally eat.
I'm gonna let you have it this time for your week. No, that was real weak. That was real weak after everything was said.
Well, I'm gonna piggyback off of Herb in a way, and that's just the fact that these conversations, that's why they are important, is because, we do disseminate information just by talking, by sharing our life experiences. Sharing what knowledge we've collected over the years. So I think these conversations are good. And, for anybody in the chat listening, you should join it if you can. You should join on the panel if you can. Share your contribution. What do you know? What can you share that might help somebody else that's listening silently?
True.
My turn?
That's all okay.
Okay. I want to first start off by saying misery loves company. So you definitely have to be careful who you share and what you share with your friends. Because if you don't, if they're a miserable person, they've been through bad relationships, they're going to not want to see you happy. Even though they say they're happy for you, they're not going to see you happy. So remember, misery loves company. Communication is key, which is what everybody's been saying on the panel. And in closing, remember, headshots can be deceiving. I'm done.
Where to stop?
You're killing me. I'm not going to even be long-winded. You already know, as we say, we all, and Christine said, we all bring different experiences to these conversations. There's no right or wrong thing. What we can understand is different people perspectives. And once people start sharing, you say, oh, wow, I've been through the same thing. That's what it's all about. My whole thing, a lot of people try to make this serious and like, oh, they want research-based answers. No, my whole vision is if we were sitting around again on the long sectional couch or whatever, we had some snacks, some cocktails or whatever, and just bringing up a topic and just talking about it. And that's all. Free-flowing conversations. We're not trying to be social scientists or whatever the case on here. We just want to have a good conversation because sometimes those conversations, the informal ones, is the lasting, impactful ones other than all that other bull crap with the statistics and all that stuff. Because if you ain't connected to it, it don't matter what numbers you give. So my thing is we should give personal connections to these topics and go from there. And with that said, I'm out. We out. Continue posting in the counselor's corner. So if you're one that's belonged to that group, if you're not, subscribe to the group. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Controversial Counselor, and just keep dropping stuff and let's keep sharing information. And that's how we grow. And that's all I got to say.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Pizza!
At 11 o'clock at night, pizza.
He gonna be in a fetal position at
Enjoy
3 o'clock.
I got some hot wings coming too, so
I'm
yeah,
sorry,
we gonna have
and
some
wings.
sphincter issues.
And wings.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Thank you all. Everybody be safe. Peace.